Hello everybody, it's me, the Hero Teacher, and in this video we are comparing a Band 6 IELTS Writing Task 2 essay to a Band 7 IELTS Writing Task 2 essay. The topics are the same, so you can easily make comparisons. What I want to achieve with this video is to help you see the differences between these two bands. Obviously, writing of the IELTS is a little bit feared by many candidates due to some difficulties and misunderstandings. Hopefully, with such videos, I'm going to help you to see the main differences between Band 6, Band 6.5, Band 7, Band 7.5 and higher band writings so that you can develop your own writing based on these differences. So on the left, what you see is a Band 6 essay, while on the other page, what you see is Band 7. Let's read our question first. Some people think that all university students should be free to study whatever they like. Others believe that they should only be allowed to study subjects that will be useful in the future, such as those related to science and technology. Discuss both views and give your own opinion. Well, from the first glance, I'd like to draw your attention to something like this. If we check the word count, what we are going to see is a little bit surprising, because Band 6 wrote only 222 words, which is lower than 250 limit mark, whereas Band 7 exceeded this limit by writing 273 words. Well, the first thing that comes to your mind, this could be the reason why the left essay, let's call it left essay or essay on the left, scored 6. Well, it is true to some degree, but not entirely. There is no such a rule that if you go below 250, you will definitely score something like 5.5 or 6. No, the reason why candidates who don't write more than 250 words usually get around 5.5 to 6 is because they don't write enough words to develop their idea. So idea development is what actually keeps their score at around 6, not the actual word count. This is something you definitely need to keep in your mind. Like if you write your essay with 255 words, don't think it's bad as long as your ideas are developed. Now, let's start our side-by-side comparison. We are going to start from introduction, then body 1, then body 2, then conclusion. So, Band 6, nowadays education is a very important topic in our life. Some people think that university students must study any subject what they want, but other people believe that students should study only useful subjects like science and technology. In this essay, I will discuss both views and give my opinion. Well, I wouldn't say it's a horrific introduction. It's all right, but the first sentence, well, the idea of first sentence, education is a very important topic in our life. Is it necessary? In my opinion, it is not. So it would be nice to start with a complex sentence to introduce the topic rather than just giving an unnecessary sentence says education is very important. Let's read the other introduction. It is sometimes argued that students at university should be free to choose any subject that interests them, while others insist that they should be restricted to fields with clear practical value, such as science and technology. This essay will examine both positions before explaining why I believe freedom of choice is ultimately more beneficial. I think here you see the difference clearly. Band 6 introduction is okay, it's not bad. Especially the first sentence, I think is completely unnecessary, so I would definitely get rid of that. An introduction of the topic and introduction of both sides obviously is much better and I would say more practical, more academic in here. Let me highlight it for you. So I'm talking about this part. Let me just do this and this part. So if you, I would suggest you to pause the video right now, read these two parts, introductory parts, and see the difference for yourself. So if you are someone who writes similar to what we have on the left, you definitely need to pause the video and read what we have on the right, because the Band 7 introduction actually gives great introductory sentence using a complex sentence structure. Especially this while is amazing. So on the one hand, we've got people who believe people are free to choose whatever they want to study. On the other, they think it should be restricted to practical fields, right? But here, some people believe or think that university students must study any subject what they want, but other people that students should study, believe that students should study only useful subjects like science and technology. Well, grammar matters. As you can see, vocabulary matters. Obviously, Band 7 has richer vocabulary. And when you see these essays, these introductions side by side, you immediately understand why the right one actually scores higher, because of its rich vocabulary and grammar and better introduction of topic and no use of unnecessary sentences such as this one we see on the left. Now, let's move on to body 1. In Band 6 essay, on the one hand, there are many people who think students can choose subject freely. Well, this is a topic sentence, but it doesn't tell me exactly what this paragraph is going to be about. Why? Because topic sentence, the very first sentence of your body paragraph, clearly has to state what your paragraph will be about. It just says there are many people who think students can choose subject freely. And so what? And as an examiner, and the examiner will be confused because, okay, you already told me that in your introduction, and what is the point of repeating it in your body paragraph topic sentence? However, when we read the sentence on the right, those who support complete freedom of choice tend to emphasize motivation. Well, motivation in our topic sentence is very clearly stating that this paragraph is going to be about motivation, why freedom of choice matters and why motivation plays a part in it. This is the difference, as you can see. Band 6, body paragraph 1, topic sentence is vague, ambiguous. We don't understand it clearly. It is just a statement. But on the right, we have a clear topic sentence stating that this paragraph will be about motivation. Now, let's continue reading our Band 6, body paragraph 1. The main reason is motivation. Well, as you can see, the answer to what we have been looking for comes in the second sentence, which is, I believe, a waste of time and sentence. You could easily do it in one sentence, like your first sentence must clearly state what your topic is going to be about. Let's continue. If a student study, here is a grammatical error, studies, it has to be, something interesting for him, he will be more happy and work hard. So there are some obvious grammar mistakes. This is some sort of explanation. If a student studies something interesting for him, he'll be happier and work harder. Okay? For example, a person who likes art or music will get good result because he enjoys his study. Also, these subjects are important for culture of society. Well, yes, the reason is motivation, but how? We are not seeing it fully developed. We are not seeing actually that the student is telling us why motivation is the reason for freedom of choice when it comes to studying subjects. Yes, we do have a conditional sentence, first conditional, but there are grammatical errors. And I still don't understand why motivation or how motivation is related to studying something interesting. Okay? For example, a person who likes art or music will get good results because he enjoys his subject, his study. How do we know that? Based on what? You see, the development is very vague and the examiner doesn't understand how motivation plays. But okay, you can like something, but how do you connect it to your results? If we go to band 7, when young people study a subject they are genuinely passionate about, they are far more likely to remain engaged and to perform well. A student who loves history or music, for example, will probably work harder than one who has been pushed into engineering simply because it's considered useful. In addition, many of the most valuable contributions to society, such as art, literature, and philosophy, come from disciplines that have no obvious economic purpose, and the world without them would be considerably poorer. Well, on the right, what we have is clear development. And remember, in IELTS Task 2 essays, it is better to have an objective tone, such as a student who loves history or music, for example, will probably work hard, like will probably. This is objective opinion rather than subjective. Like we don't say will definitely work harder, will probably work harder. So it is what we assume, it's our assumption. And this always gives a better tone to your writing. And as you can see, the example helps us understand how the writer puts motivation in the center and how this motivation helps the society and the world. It is clear development. Obviously not the best development, but it's much better than the one on the left. So development of your ideas in one paragraph help you score higher. And I also would like to mention coherence and cohesion. When we read this paragraph on the left, well, we do understand it, and the sentences are somehow connected, but it is not. There isn't a flow. Like, I mean, it doesn't flow as much as this paragraph does. I again would like you to pause the video here and read the paragraphs from the beginning to the end, just to see how the left one is a little difficult to easily understand in one read, while the other one, the right one, is much easier to grasp from your first read. Now, it is time to move on to paragraph 2. On the other hand, other people have different opinion. Again, our topic sentence is not clear. I mean, first and second paragraph topic sentences, I believe, have been wasted. Because first one says there are many people who think students can choose subjects freely. On the other hand, other people have different opinion. Obviously, they must have other opinions, right? But again, just saying it plainly, causing your topic sentence to be wasted is not good. But if you read the other paragraph, on the other hand, supporters of restricting university places to practical subjects argue from an economic standpoint. Again, in our second body paragraph in band 7 essay, what we see is clear point, economic standpoint. So we know that this body paragraph will be about economics, like spending money, etc., etc. So back to band 6. They say that governments spend a lot of money for universities, so students must study subjects which are useful for future. Again, just like the first body paragraph, it is not an academic way of development. It is very, especially they say that. This is very general, and it is not recommended to use such phrases in your essays, because what we are writing is academic piece of writing, and it can't be written generally with general phrases. For example, doctors and engineers are very necessary for development of country. So, like, what does it explain? For example, example sentence needs to illustrate your point, right? So they say that governments spend a lot of money for universities, so students must study subjects which are useful for future. For example, doctors and engineers are very necessary for development of country. What does it explain? It doesn't explain anything. Like, I know doctors and engineers are useful for the country, but spending money for universities, then how do you justify that spending a lot of money? Probably like you think doctors and, I mean, the candidate thought doctors and engineers are necessary. So you see the point here, right? Like when you use, again, unclear sentences, the examiner has difficulty understanding what point you are trying to make. If a student studies only art, maybe he cannot find job or salary in future, another problem, but how is it related to government spending a lot of money on education? This is also a big problem for economy. Again, the problem with this paragraph is that it doesn't hit the point, it doesn't hit the target. It gives some information, not bad information, but it is unstructured and we don't understand what the candidate tries to achieve here. On the right, on the other hand, supporters of restricting university places to practical subjects argue from an economic standpoint. Governments and families invest large sums in higher education, and it seems reasonable to expect a return on this investment in the form of skilled doctors, engineers, and scientists. Countries that lack such professionals may struggle to develop, and graduates in less practical fields can sometimes find it difficult to secure well-paid employment. Well, as you can see, this paragraph puts the idea in a much clearer way so that the examiner understands what is the expectation. The expectation is this: there is investment made into education, and families and government do have some sort of expectations of their investment. And also, countries that lack such professionals may struggle to develop, and graduates in less practical fields can sometimes find it difficult to secure well-paid employment. Also, it mentions that if you don't study something that is needed or that is highly appreciated, then you may not find a good job. As you can see, the ideas on the left and right are basically the same, but the way candidates have put them are completely different. And this is what I want you guys to see, the difference between Band 6 essay and Band 7 essay. Finally, in conclusion, both views have advantages and disadvantages, but in my opinion, I think students should study what they want because motivation is very important for success. Government can support useful subjects, but they should not force students, so freedom is better for everybody. On the right, in my opinion, although the economic argument has some merit, forcing students into particular subjects is short-sighted. Society needs a wide range of talents, not only technical ones, and people generally succeed in careers they have chosen for themselves. For these reasons, I believe universities should allow students to follow their own interests. Well, why do we write conclusion? Conclusion, as its name suggests, is where the examiner needs to see your opinion very, very clearly. And look, we have on the right, for these reasons, I believe universities should allow students to follow their own interests. So the candidate thinks clearly that it should be this way. Here, on the other hand, so freedom is better for everybody. This is an opinion, I do agree with that, but it is not very clear. And why it does not work is also the fact that the candidate hasn't clearly mentioned why he thinks so. Okay, the idea hasn't been developed. This is very important. Well, in the end, obviously the right one deserves Band 7, the left one deserves Band 6, or in some cases even Band 5.5. What I try to achieve in this video is to help you understand how these essays are compared to each other. Again, I'm going to shoot more videos to help you. So I thank you very much for your time and hope to see you in next videos. Bye-bye.